Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Criminal Classics, where we analyze and talk about crime short stories. We're your hosts, Luke Haas and Benjamin Elizalde. On today's episode, we will talk about the short story, Where Are You Going? Where Have You Been? By Joyce Carol Oates, written in 1966 and inspired by serial killer Charles Schmidt.
So for a little context, during this time there was a lot of social progression movements, such as sexual freedom, women's rights, and more. So we will definitely have this in mind while talking about this short story.
Our first observation on this short story was Connie's self-awareness of her looks at a very young age. Many may ask, why was Connie's character self-aware that she was pretty? And how did this affect her fate?
Well, Connie was often compared to her sister, which upsets her because she feels she is more beautiful than the rest of her family, making her feel above the rest of them. As stated in the story, she knew she was pretty, and her carelessness is reflected through her childlike and bobbing that drew Arnold to her. Even though Connie tried to avoid the convincing behaviors of Arnold's friend, her self-confidence made her flirt back to Arnold when he was at her house, in which she pretended to fidget to appear coy to him. This was exactly what Arnold looked for and preyed upon girls. Although she was first coy, she eventually came to her senses, but it was not until it was too late and she finally told Arnold to get the hell out of here. At this point, Arnold was already set on taking her out, and she understood that she may not get to go home again.
Another observation we had on this short story was Connie's relationship with her parents.
Yes, in the beginning of the story, Connie's relationship with her parents is described. Why is this important to the story?
Connie's relationship with her parents is crucial to the story, as she has complexity with both her mother and father. Starting with her mother, she showed favoritism to her sister June. As stated in the short story, Connie had to hear her praised all the time by her mother. June did this, June did that. This causes Connie to get annoyed by her mom and eventually hate her. As it's stated in the short story, Connie's mother kept picking at her until Connie wished her mother was dead. There was another problem with her dad, as he showed a lack of attention to their family, not just Connie. Their father was away at work most of the time, and when he came back home, he wanted supper and he read the newspaper at supper, and after supper he went to bed. He didn't bother talking much to them. This was stated in the short story. Both situations can make Connie feel unsafe at home and make her uneasy about depending on her parents. These situations can make her an easier target for Arnold, as she can be more vulnerable and easier to manipulate.
Before we keep going, let us introduce today's episode sponsor, Insightful Hair.
Insightful Hair is a new and upcoming wig company. They have every color, style, length, and volume you can imagine. So go visit their website, insightfulhair.com, to shop for your desired wigs. And make sure to use our code CriminalClassics10 at checkout for a 10% discount off every item in-store and online. So definitely make sure to go check them out. Now, back to our podcast.
Arnold always seemed kind of creepy.
Yeah, why did Connie give Arnold attention when his description makes him seem unattractive and suspicious?
Arnold's description begins with him having shaggy, shabby, black hair that looks crazy as a wig. Connie should have used this as a sign to show precaution. However, his abilities to charm her overtook the signals of danger. It becomes obvious that many things about him were not real as Connie began to talk to him more. He was leaning back against the car as if he were balancing himself. He was not tall. This further reveals his lies and attempt to convince women to come with him through the lies.
It makes sense he was good at manipulating and convincing.
Yeah, just like when Arnold told Connie, "She's too fat. I don't like them fat. I like them the way you are, honey." What does this say about Arnold?
This line shows that Arnold is a superficial man, and he confesses being interested in Connie for her body. Arnold just wants to use her for sex, and he admits this later on in the short story. As he says, "I'll hold you so tight you won't think you have to try to get away or pretend anything, because you'll know you can't. I'll come inside you where it's all secret, and you'll give in to me, and you'll love me." It also shows that he uses her physical appearance to try to appeal to Connie and to be able to manipulate her into doing what he wants. After telling her he likes her body, he then tells her what he wants. As it's stated in the short story, now what you're going to do is this. You're going to come out that door, you're going to sit up front with me. You're my date, I'm your lover, honey, he said.
Clearly, this short story shows us how men are able to manipulate and take advantage of women, especially minors, a problem women have to face which they shouldn't.
Yes, and with the social context in which the story was written, we can infer that this short story expresses feminism, as it gives us a female's perspective on how men use women's vulnerabilities to make them their victims, showing us that men's actions are ultimately the problem. Well, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, and feel free to share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section. See you next episode. Bye.